Okay, guys, I'm here in the 2023 CX-50. Like I say, we just traded in our 2014 CX-5 for the 50 on the main because well, I like Mazda, but anyway, just to be something different. And the styling of this is much. We like the cockpit. Cockpit is a little bigger. The 6.5 is kind of more like an egg shape, but it's a good car anyway. But this is definitely a classy looking car for sure. We get a lot of looks. All black, pretty sharp. The turbo premium, I guess they call it. So it doesn't have the bows, but doesn't have the the heated or the cooling seats. I would like to have that. That would have been nice to have. Handlebar or the steering wheel I can get away. That's not a big deal. Not having heated, but the heated ventilated seats would be nice. Anyway, so had a 14, say CX-5 for over 5 years. We bought it with like 40,000 miles on it. We put over 110 on it. So trouble-free miles, trouble-free, just oil changes, brakes, tires, transmission service. That's about it. So I'm hoping to get the same out of this. There's one thing though on the CX-5, so they do share the same motor as this, and I did have one little problem come up. So I was always going to Walmart for my oil changes, and they used it's nice you get in there if you get in early. Usually get in there and out within an hour, and it was a reasonable price. So, but anyway, I was using the Castrol Titanium 020 020 whatever weight of oil, and it actually did have titanium in it because I sent a sample off to get Blackstone to get checked out, and it did definitely had the titanium in it. But anyway, Walmart would do a pre-check, and they tell you, say your quart low, whatever. And anyway, so I'd run my changes out to probably 8 to 9,000 most times, and I think at most I was ever down to maybe half a quart. Anyway, well, then the COVID where baloney came, and then Walmart stopped their service, so they ended up need a place to change oil at. Went to a local shop. Anyway, I didn't think no big deal. We put in this Kendall, I guess Kendall 20, and about 2 or 3 changes in the summer. In the summertime, when you're running at 80 miles an hour with the headwind, side wind, you're gonna, you do create quite a bit of oil temp. And anyway, so what he called me up, says, "Yeah, you're down. Your oil's like chocolate black, or just totally black. I need the service put in there. I need to clean this out. There's something going on. This shouldn't be right." And well, anyway, the only thing I can figure out is that it has something to do with the Kendall. Well, so at that point I wanted to figure out how much oil temp I was running, so I went and got I had it for a F250 Power Stroke, because that's a big oil, that has oil cooler in it, and it tends to get clogged, and if you don't catch it, that can basically take the motor out. So I went and found out online, Amazon, you can get a ODB2 reader for pretty cheap, like $15, and then you get a Android app, torque line, and you can basically plug in those that to the ECU and plug in that information. So lo and behold, it works just on a Mazda just fine, and there's some things you don't have. But anyway, so I do have on the CX-5, I do have oil temp, coolant temp, and then I also have manifold pressure, which basically boosts pressure. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, right here you can look and see. So you can see here idling here. We're at 800 RPM. We're already making four pounds of boost, so that's kind of interesting. And the highest I've seen so far is about 30, maybe 31, but right about 30 on a rolling, about 2 3/4 pedal to the floor. So, but you can see here you got your oil temp. Ooh, that can't be right. I have to reset this. Alright, so here we go. So here we got 185 oil temp, and you see your coolant there's 204. So ideally you want those two numbers to be pretty close, but what happens is you're going to get probably 20 degree delta pretty quickly, and if you're running in hot temperatures at say 80 miles an hour. And another thing too was on the CX-5, you know, it's naturally aspirated, so your load, the load will jump, and I see that jump to 75%. That means it's 75% load on the fuel, and that's what's causing, you know, basically a lot more heat in the combustion chamber. And what Mazda does to take the heat out of the motor is they run these little nozzles upside down that spray oil on the back underneath the pistons up by the basically where the connecting rods and the connecting rods attach, and that takes the heat out of the oil, but also raises the oil temp. So I can't verify that's on the 2.5, but I know it's on the other Mazda engineered motor, so I'm only assume that it's on there too as well. So I do know it's here when you get a bunch of boost, and also on the CX-5 when I would climb a hill or something like that. When I had to put my foot into it, then you'd see the oil temp come up right after that. So anyway, so you want to check that. And only thing I never got to run the CX-5. After I figured out what's going on, I never got to run it in the really hot temps. I think I run it in like 60s, in the 60s, and what we were doing running in to a headwind, and we were running up into South Dakota where you can legally drive 80 miles an hour. So I think I was probably above 80, and I saw I think 215 up to 217, I think. So and then I checked the oil right after that, and I did notice that it was down about an eighth of a quart, or about a quarter quart. And the temperature, or the oil started to turn a little more dark. Then it only had maybe 1,000 miles on the change. So definitely that's something to keep an eye on. And it's like I said, it all comes down to your oil. Like I say, I think the Castrol is a very good oil. That'd be one I would recommend. But like you get something you're just gonna have to check yourself. And if you see, like I say, if you see it, you should be able to run easily out to 5,000 without having much of an issue. But like I say, there's plenty of additive in most of these modern synthetic oils that you can run easily out to 7,500 or beyond and still have oil left as far as that. So the other thing too on this CX-50 here, that with the turbo, the Skyactiv G, which is the same, it's been out since 2016, so it's got some data on it. If you notice, it runs with the 530, and it also has an oil level sensor. So that's telling you right there that the oil temp can be an issue, is why you're using oil. So not a big deal, but keep an eye on it. And from what I gather is really comes down. It's going to be hot. It's not like it's a Mazda problem. It's just the way it is. It really comes down to the oil you're putting in. So, but anyway, so we're going on a little trip here. We got 500 miles on this so far, and so in the book it says after 600 miles, you basically you kind of want to vary your RPM and not just either do highway miles or in-town miles, try to vary it up. So that's kind of what we've been trying to do. But now we're going to go on about a 2-hour trip one way. We got a little bit of north wind today, so we'll probably have a little bit of a northwest wind. We'll probably have a little bit of a push behind us today, so I imagine we'll get pretty decent gas mileage. So, but anyway, it's the first voyage on the new CX-50. We'll see. But look for so our CX-5, we got, like I say, we were pretty consistent on fuel mileage. We were so I think last time I reset it was probably about 30 or probably 40,000 miles on this. So as I reset it, it was like 27. So we saw between 28 to maybe 29. If you just had a good, basically it comes down to the wind. If you had like a zero wind out, you could get there, right around 30, running at 80, 75, 80 miles an hour. It's a we've experienced. So So I'm hoping this is about the same. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's you know, I could live with that. The other thing too is I only ran on that 91 octane. Same, I'm gonna do the same with this as well. So that should give me a little bit better power. Maybe that, I don't know if that's gonna affect the fuel mileage or not, but that's what I plan to run it.
Mazda.